Hello all, hope you're all having a good afternoon. 'Tis I, Doodleman149, and today we'll be taking a look at the second LMG available to us Modern Warfare players, the SA87. Together we'll discover if this weapon is worth using, psst, it isn't, and how best to kit it for your needs. Brought to us by them blokes across the pond in the UK, the SA87 offers a 3 to 4 shot kill to the torso with a headshot multiplier that doesn't really matter except at the minimum damage range. This weapon has a decent rate of fire at a little over 600 rounds per minute, and has a maximum damage range just shy of 50 meters, which is honestly fantastic. With all of these, why wouldn't you use this weapon? Well, the recoil is fairly high. It doesn't bounce to the sides too much, but the overall magnitude is pretty large. Combine that with LMG style handling and a base magazine of only 30 rounds, you basically have the slowest assault rifle in the game. The SA87 is built like an LMG, an assault rifle hybrid, that doesn't excel in anything, really. It doesn't have the suppressive power of an LMG, and it doesn't have the speed of an AR to handle mid to close range fights. Even though I'm bagging on this weapon, it is still usable. It's not my favorite by far, but it's far from useless. Now let's get into the best way to run this weapon depending on your playstyle. For a more aggressive style of build, I've created the Bullfrog. This variant is more assault rifle than LMG, but we still need to remember its limitations. We start off in the muzzle section with a compensator to help our recoil control. Next we use the SA87 12.4 inch factory barrel for improved ADS and movement speed at the cost of range and recoil. Next I use the PBX Holo 7 sight, but feel free to use any lower zoom optic you like. Sleight of hand is here to make those frequent reloads a little less painful, and the build is rounded off with the operator foregrip to fight our vertical recoil even more. The Bullfrog is what the SA87 could be if it was an assault rifle first. This build focuses on improving the speed and handling of this weapon while maintaining a decent amount of recoil control and range. The compensator is known around the COD community as the best recoil reducer for this weapon, for whatever reason. I don't question it, I just know that it works wonders. The short barrel, the 12-inch one, really helps make this build faster by drastically improving our ADS and general movement speeds. This barrel does cost some recoil, but the compensator and the operator foregrip are both more than adequate to overcome that drawback. I like the hollow sights with this build because even though it's faster and more of an assault rifle style of weapon, it's still nothing I would recommend rushing, so keeping your distance still helps, and the hollow sights are better at these ranges I'm referring to. Sleight of hand isn't super necessary, but considering how small the magazine is, this perk doesn't hurt when those 30 bullets run out. The Bullfrog is good for all game modes. Its quicker handling allows for better use in standard multiplayer. The weapon's impressive range and now lower recoil are still useful in ground war, even though it isn't suppressed. This variant could do well in Warzone as well, albeit it would be more akin to ground loot than a loadout weapon. If you really want to stretch out the range of this weapon and use it more like an actual LMG, then you'll want to give the longbow a shot. We start off again with the muzzle, but this time we go with the tactical suppressor since it won't be as slow as the monolithic, and this weapon's range is already great. Next we use the SA87's 25.4 inch barrel to further increase our range and recoil control. The VLK 3x optic will be used here for better engaging distant targets, while ever so slightly reducing the recoil yet again. The Ranger foregrip is best as it stabilizes our aim and reduces recoil simultaneously. And we end with the 50 round mags for a larger ammo pool in general. With all of these stacked recoil reducing attachments, the longbow is not a fast weapon. I'm pretty sure every attachment here hurts our mobility while allowing for a super long range LMG with extremely low recoil. The tactical suppressor is here to make this a viable Warzone choice while also keeping us off the radar. The long barrel, while not popular with others, seems to be a great choice in my opinion if you're looking to hang back and play to this weapon's strengths. The extra weight slows you down, but it also helps keep recoil low. The VLK is just my preferred mid-zoom sight since it does slightly help with recoil. The Ranger foregrip allows for a nice consistent recoil pattern while also keeping its overall magnitude lower. The thing that really puts this weapon into the LMG category is the 50 round magazines, since it lets you fire for longer without a reload. While this weapon is now capable of the suppressing role and capable of taking out multiple distant enemies, the detachable magazine still makes for a fast LMG reload, which could be a nice change of pace from traditional LMGs. This build is terrible for standard multiplayer, as it's just much too slow. Its best use is in ground war, and if you're feeling adventurous, it's also not a terrible choice for Warzone, if you're looking for a Bruin or PKM alternative. And with that, we've concluded our exploration of the SA87 light machine gun. This weapon is definitely unique, but not in a way I really like. The P90 is pretty unique, but I'd rather have that than the SA87. This weapon is trying to be a hybrid, the best of both worlds, but it ends up being either bad or mediocre in either role. The Bullfrog shows that this weapon can definitely be made into more of an assault rifle, but even with all these modifications, you basically have a base subpar AR. The rate of fire is meh, the damage and range are both pretty good, but I don't really like the recoil. It's not hard to compensate for when you're shooting, but it's just way too high for something that fires a 556 round. The SA87 is bulkier than basically every AR, so its recoil should be much lower than it is. The longbow shows that this weapon can be made into a functional LMG, but the fact that the base version has to be modified just to fit into its weapon category shows that something about this design just isn't right. I'm not personally a fan of this weapon. I had some fun using it, but when it comes to ground war LMGs, I prefer the Fin, and when it comes to Warzone, I never run a light machine gun anyway, so it has no use to me there either. It's basically passable in standard multiplayer, but just like the Grau, I'm never going to use this unless there are no options available. Sorry if there are SA87 fans out there, I didn't mean to bash your gun, it's just not for me, so I can't personally recommend it. It's definitely on the lowest end of the scale of usability for me. I may be even doing a video ranking all the guns eventually. But for now, this has been Doodleman149. You've all been wonderful, have a great week, and I will see you later.